Welcome to the Lowcountry Revolutionaries, the podcast that dives deep into the heart of Charleston, South Carolina's vibrant entrepreneurial scene. I'm your host, Bill Ballott, founder of Veritas Exoscience, and each week we're spotlighting the boldest innovators from the Chucktown startup community. These are the visionaries pouring their heart and soul into the businesses that are transferring Charleston into a global hub of creativity and American ingenuity. Get ready for raw, real conversations with the trailblazers shaping our city's future. Let's dive in. I would like to welcome Jack Teitel, an AI expert with 10 years of experience developing and deploying AI solutions across industries. As an AI generalist, he has led projects in computer vision, NLP, predictive analytics, time series forecasts, and graph analysis. Hi, Jack. How you doing?
Hey, Bill. How's it going? I'm doing
great. So, Jack, first question. I avoided looking this up on the search engines because I knew I was going to ask you, what the heck is NLP? Is that like nonlinear processing? What does NLP stand for? It must be something cool, right?
It's something cool. So natural language processing.
Oh, natural language processing. Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's pretty hot these days. That's kind of, if you think about using ChatGPT or something to analyze a document, that's doing natural language processing. Now,
Nice.
The term used to be very popular, 5-10 years ago, before we had all of these ChatGPT models and it was so in the public consciousness. That was kind of what people called that field of analyzing and processing text. It used to be a lot harder than it is today.
Yeah, like back when in the Stone Age, when I was in engineering, we used to, before there was the term AI, we just said it was curve fitting. And now it's kind of grown from curve fitting to, okay, we have AI and there's all these different types of AI and everything. So what are you doing with AI? How are you helping people in this area for your business?
Oh man, so I do a lot of different stuff. My main goal with Teitel AI is to help businesses who are interested in AI and kind of have an idea of how they might want to use it. But let's say they don't really have that in-house expertise or depth of knowledge to execute on that idea. So what I try to do is just help them out and help them actually execute that idea, whether that's through strategic consulting or doing the project myself and then giving them the results and that kind of stuff. So I help folks all over the place, from a local company. I just helped the Charleston Parks Conservancy build a powered app to help them find volunteers.
Oh, nice.
So they can just kind of type in what types of organizations they might want to partner with to help, provide volunteers for an event, and it'll go and search the web and scrape find companies that are relevant, scrape their website, process information about them to determine if they'd be a good fit for volunteering, find contact info, all that kind of stuff, just at the click of a button.
Wow. That's really cool. Do you leverage a lot of the like open AI type resources to help build that? That's what I'm guessing, right?
Oh yeah, of course. So that is powered all the kind of AI analysis of the website, for example, and figuring out what contacts to pull and things like that is all AI powered by ChatGPT, which is very easy to just integrate. It's very cheap. It only costs about 2 cents per business that they want to study there. But I also do a lot of different things. So I do a lot of image analysis too. So things like putting cameras on production lines for mechanical parts to do quality assurance, measure tolerances and things, just using AI-based footage analysis of the camera footage and AI-based photo editing and really a whole bunch of different stuff.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, I've worked with a lot of folks in my other job. I do standards development in a technology space with robotics, exoskeletons, that kind of stuff. And so AI and vision are a huge part of that right now. It's a developing part. And how do you do standards for that and all that kind of stuff? And, I also worked for NIST, which is the Metrology Institute for the U.S. And so you're talking about, we're using cameras to do measures and stuff like that. That's really exciting because that's how you produce really good stuff. You can't produce quality stuff if you can't measure it. So that's really cool. So do you go in and like actually help implement it, or do you design it and let somebody else implement it, or a little bit of both? Just depends on what people need.
Definitely both. It just really depends on the need of the client and the budget that they have available. So a lot of times I'll go in and I'll kind of lead a project and pull in some offshore resources to help actually accomplish it at a lower cost. Although today, there's a lot that can be done just with this vibe coding. You heard of vibe coding?
I haven't heard of that. What is that?
Vibe coding is a new term on the town these days. People started using it maybe this year. It's just these kind of AI programs that allow you to build out applications just by prompting. So you can say, hey, build me a feature that does this, and it'll actually write the code out for you.
Oh, yeah.
These can be very tricky if you don't really know what code they're writing or what specifically you want to do. But in the hands of like a senior developer, they can be very empowering because they don't have to sit there and write out every line of every individual function. They know what they want to do. They just have the AI like type it out for them, basically.
Right,
so,
right.
Very powerful tools.
Yeah, and that's, I want to say that's sort of been my experience with AI, and my few things that I do with it is that if you kind of understand the thing you're asking it to do, and you can kind of do a little quality checking and make sure it's on the same page, it does a great job. But if you're doing something you have no knowledge about, you're kind of opening yourself up to maybe not the optimal solution there sometimes.
Yeah, it might work, but it might not.
Right, and you don't know, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like it still can do. So that's really where I try to push companies when thinking about AI is instead of thinking it as automation or to replace employees or replace work, think of it as a force multiplier, right? You can use it as a tool for your employees, and each person can do 5 times as much, 10 times as much as they used to be able to. So now instead of automating your systems and having a business that just is fully automated and sometimes breaks or sometimes you don't know what's going on, you can have all of your employees performing at a much, much higher level, keep costs the same, and scale to a huge degree. It's a really, really powerful tool. And I love that everybody is thinking about it these days. I've been working in AI for almost 12 years now.
Oh, wow.
And even 5 years ago, I would tell folks, oh, what do you do? I'm an AI scientist. I build AI programs. I just get blank stares, like the Terminator.
Right.
Kind of. Not really. But, these days I say, oh, I work in AI. And I was like, oh, I use ChatGPT for this. And, I want to do AI for that. And it's really cool to see it have entered the public consciousness like that.
Yeah. Like one of the things that comes up in the areas I work in is like, I'll say the security around AI. I assume when you're working with companies, some companies are more sensitive to, hey, if we're going to run AI, especially on our intellectual property, how do we secure that kind of stuff? And if we're pulling information from other places, how do we know whether we're getting somebody else's IP or not? So do you get into that area too?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's hard to work in AI and not get into that. It's such kind of a fundamental aspect of this because it's all based around data. You're processing data, you're training these models with data, you're producing data. So data security always comes up.
That's cool.
I actually have a very large background in healthcare.
Yes.
So I'm very used to working with highly secure data. So HIPAA data, stuff
data,
that,
yes.
Proprietary information that's important for a company to keep private, but data that is, carries legal weight and responsibility to it in terms of its privacy and security.
Right.
And there's all sorts of things you can do. So normally when a company says, hey, I'm worried about my data, I'm worried about my security, I encourage them to take a step back and try to build out like a risk profile because everything has certain amounts of risk, right? Like you could use ChatGPT, the free version, and send your data there, and they can do whatever the heck they want with it. You have no security, no guarantees of privacy, no nothing. Now, you could get the enterprise version of ChatGPT and toggle it on to have data privacy, which is an option. And then they say they're not going to train on your data. So that comes with a cost. You have to pay for the enterprise version. And then it also comes with a certain amount of trust. Do you actually trust them to not train on your data when they say they're not?
Exactly.
So, that's a small cost. And then you can get into larger costs. There's third-party providers of these kinds of APIs like AWS Bedrock, or Azure has some built-in, more secure implementations, which are kind of the same principle. They're the same kind of models that you can use in the same ways, but within a secure infrastructure, and those obviously cost more.
Right.
And then you can put that secure infrastructure inside a secure server, which is more, or you can run something locally. There's models that you can just download and run completely on your computer without sending information anywhere. So each one of these strategies comes with a different level of security and privacy, but with other drawbacks. They're either harder to implement, or they cost more,
Right.
or you
Right.
have to do more yourself, or you use a less powerful model. So it's all about kind of figuring out where your optimal risk is. Like, how much risk are you comfortable with? And then saying, okay, that's how we're going to target our AI workflows.
Yeah, that's brilliant, because I've worked in the security, physical security kind of world, and other, even in just regular technology world. That's exactly like a best practice, using a risk model based approach, and what mitigations are you going to take, and what risk are you going to accept, and what risk are you not going to accept. In the physical security world, it's like, hey, we're trying to protect this building from a potential explosive device kind of thing. Okay, I can give you this solution that'll guarantee you no way, but you won't be able to afford it. Or you can accept a little bit of risk, and now we're in an approachable area that's going to work out for everybody, And that's how you approach almost every kind of engineering type thing. So that's great. So that kind of makes sense, that even AI with this super advanced and all that, it's using things that we already kind of know.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have to think about all the same kind of things. Like, yes, there's online security, right? You're sending your data through an API, it could get attacked on the way,
Right.
versus you have data all locally. Is someone going to break into your office and steal your computer?
Right.
So there's so many different kind of aspects to it, that taking the time to think carefully through it, and not just kind of rush to whatever's the fastest or easiest deployment, really pays off in the long run. I've seen.
Right. So that's probably like a huge value proposition for you and your company, is that you know what questions to ask, and you can help people kind of think through this, versus like, oh, we're going to use AI and we think it'll do all these cool things for us. If wait a minute, let's look at the whole picture and see where it makes sense. So that's really nice.
Yeah, I consider AI education to be a really big part of my company, and just kind of my general goal. It's funny. I gave a talk maybe a month or so ago at a conference for teachers. And this talk was all about how can teachers use AI to help their jobs, right? Who needs AI more than teachers? They're underpaid, they have a ton of work, they have to manage all these different students. Anything that can make their lives a little bit easier is awesome. So the way I opened the talk was asking how many people use AI, right? How many of them? There were maybe 40 teachers there, probably 75% raised their hand.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, they're all using it. They're using ChatGPT. They're using it to help with lesson plans. Now, very disparate ways. Everybody's kind of figuring out for themselves what works for them. So later in the talk, I present some more structured tools which they can all use to get really efficient gains with AI. But where I was going with this is that the next question I asked after how many people who's using AI is, who can define AI? And it was crickets. Out of 30 people who said that they're using AI, nobody could say, oh, this is how it works. This is what I'm using. This is what makes something AI versus just a traditional computer software. So while AI has really entered the mainstream kind of consciousness and vernacular, people don't, at its core, often understand how it works, what it is, what makes something AI. And having that kind of base level understanding really helps you figure out how best to use these tools, how to think about using them, how to interact with them, what are they good at, what are they bad at. Yeah, it's a very interesting place we're in right now. And I think that kind of education will come with time as people start using this more and start hearing about it more. It really only started in late 2022 when ChatGPT 3.5 was released, this kind of AI craze that we're in right now. So
yeah,
very interesting.
I just see it, it's penetrating like a lot of like common devices, like, even like a lot of people use the Microsoft 365 platform, and it's got Microsoft Copilot, which is an AI basically assistant. But you could look back 10 years ago and someone could I'll make the argument. You could make the argument that the spell checker in your Microsoft Word or whatever program you were using, Word Perfect, whatever, was sort of a form of AI. And even like your email clients, the predictive stuff it does to answer emails that's coming up for everybody now. That's sort of like AI, right? Is that really true, or am I kind of making it up?
Totally. So it all comes down to like how we define AI. AI used to be defined as kind of a program that can make decisions on its own based on a set of rules. That
Right.
set of rules can either be provided by the programmer or it can be learned from a set of data.
Yeah.
But now that's not really what AI is anymore. These days, people say AI, and what they mean is ChatGPT.
Right. Right.
So talking about AI has gotten complicated just because, especially for me, someone who's been in this field for a long time, a lot of the words and definitions that I'm used to are not what the general public is used to. So we're having to kind of shift along with people and all kind of come to this general consensus together of, what do these terms mean? What does it mean for something to be AI? And more than that, what gets me really excited is how do we use it, right? Like, how can you take advantage of all this technology and use it to your benefit? And it's just in so many ways. I spend all my time researching AI and looking at news and all this stuff, and I'm still learning new stuff constantly.
Yeah.
I can't imagine being somebody who's just hearing about AI for the first time this year and trying to figure out how to use it or what tools to use or things like that. I couldn't even imagine how hard that would be.
Yeah, it can be very overwhelming, and sometimes you can just just say, hey, I don't even want to deal with it because it's so overwhelming. So I'm glad there are people like yourself around, Jack, that help us all out. I'm going to shift topics here for just a second because I have to ask you this. So why Charleston? You live here in Charleston. Have you always lived here in Charleston? Did you move to Charleston? Is it great? It's because of the business environment? Is it family? What brought you to Charleston?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I'm from upstate New York originally, not New York City, but kind of Western New York.
Near Buffalo?
Yeah, Rochester, actually. It's
I've been to Rochester. So you've been to Dinosaur Barbecue then, right?
Oh, yeah, many a time.
Yeah, me too. It's amazing.
That's funny. I've noticed there's a lot of upstate New York people down here in Charleston. It's really funny.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time up in Buffalo because I was doing a project up there, and I had a friend who got married in Rochester, so we spent a lot of time at Dinosaur Barbecue. So, but sorry, I interrupted your story.
You probably know then that it's really cold up there.
It's a bit cold.
Very snowy. Winter lasts for like 6-7 months.
Oh yeah.
And I just got sick of walking outside in the snow, and it's so cold that your face hurts, and you got to shovel your car out just to go anywhere. I was done with it. So I kind of grew up there. I went to school there. I worked there for a while, and I decided I had enough. So I moved down south, originally to Atlanta.
Oh, nice.
Which I liked living in Atlanta. It was nice, but it really just I figured out pretty quickly that the big city living was not for me.
Atlanta's a great city, but it's not really representative per se of the rest of the South because it's just such a big city,
I agree. I had a really great time living there. I lived there for about 3 years, had a lot of fun, but I knew almost right away that it wasn't somewhere I wanted to put down roots. And me and my fiance were living there together at the time, and we knew we wanted to move, and we were thinking about where. Well, we wanted a smaller city and somewhere by the water, so we're like, oh, maybe Charleston would be good, and we came and visited here and just fell in love like immediately.
Yeah.
So we decided, all right, we moved here. That was about a little more than 2 years ago now.
Okay.
We moved here. And I felt exactly the opposite way that I felt about Atlanta. Like almost immediately, I thought, this is the place for me.
Yeah.
Everybody's friendly, and there's such a strong sense of community here. The city itself is gorgeous, and there's excellent food, and it's right by the beach. I love the ocean and going to the beach. And so I did about 2 years, bought a house over in West Ashley about a year ago, and plan on staying here for a good long while.
That's awesome. So I'm not very far away from you. We got here in 2021, so just a little bit before you, but not much. And we're over here near Somerville. So, again, I've had a very similar experience to you, and there's a reason why they kind of call this area. They have a lot of names, but the one that kind of sticks with me is the land of sunshine and smiles. And the other thing is, with this, startup community now, the other term I've heard a lot is like this is Silicon Harbor, because there's so many companies just kind of springing up, and there's so much energy and, just a good community spirit around it too. So it's a good place to be for family and for work really right now.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. There's so many just startup communities and tech communities and things. I started this business maybe 4 months ago.
Yeah.
And I immediately was like, okay, let me see what's in the community. Let me go out to some events, and just the number of people I met who were so welcoming and so just enthusiastic about the whole thing. We have lots of talks and get-togethers and happy hours. It felt really easy to just kind of fit in, which has been, my impression of Charleston, basically in every aspect of my life here has felt that way. So, the tech scene and the entrepreneur scene is huge here. AI in particular, I'm starting to meet a lot of folks who are doing AI businesses here,
right?
Which is cool to see. And yeah, it's great. I'm so happy to be a part of it and able to help contribute to that
awesome.
community.
So what kind of advice would you offer to other entrepreneurs in this area and maybe outside this area? Because, right now, we're reaching other countries even with this podcast. So what would you say to people? Come to Charleston.
Yeah. Come to Charleston. I recommend anybody, regardless of if they're trying to start a business or not. But for folks who are thinking about starting a business, my biggest piece of advice is to just do it. Yeah. Don't think. I feel like a lot of times people are hesitant to start a business because they feel like it has to be this big thing and this huge undertaking. And it's not. I started my company while I was working another job. I just did it. I took one weekend day and a couple extra hours every night and just started working at it and building it from there. And especially with ChatGPT and these other AI systems now, anything you don't know how to do, like you don't know how to build a website, you just ask it how to build a website. You don't know how to do marketing, ask it to build you a marketing plan. Just the ability to access really high quality knowledge to help you on your entrepreneurial journey has never been higher. So my advice would just be jump in there and do it.
Yeah.
Give it a try, and you might be surprised at how well you can do with just a little bit of effort.
Absolutely. I'm a big believer in diving in. I started mine in March of this year, so very similar timeline, just kind of dove in, and I'm using a lot of these tools that you're talking about too to kind of help bolster areas that I may not be an expert in, but I need a little bit of assistance. And it's been great. It's been a great way to kind of bolster some things, and you don't feel as lost, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. That's been my impression.
Cool. Well, this has been a great conversation. I hope we can do it again. And I'd love to have you back on, Jack, and we can talk about some more AI stuff. There's lots. I've got you, if you want to use AI to help solve a mystery, there's a great mystery down here, which is I don't know if you've been to the museum. I haven't been. I've been told to go, so I have to go now. It's the Hunley Museum. Hunley is the submarine that was brought up from the ocean's depth. It's a Civil War submarine, and there's a great mystery around it. So, if you have some AI tools that can solve the mystery of why the Hunley went down and what happened to the folks in the Hunley submarine, you would be a hero to a lot of people in the Lowcountry right here.
That would be fun. Maybe we could do that on the next episode.
All right, that sounds good. All right, well, you have a great day.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks for having me.
That's a wrap for this episode of the Lowcountry Revolutionaries. Thanks for joining us as we celebrate the fearless entrepreneurs making wave in Charleston's Chucktown Startups community. I'm Bill Bellot, and it's been an honor to share these inspiring stories with you. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs a spark of Lowcountry innovation. Until next time, keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible.